I'm Lucyna Migała, and I'm the Artistic Director and General Manager of the Lira Ensemble. We specialize in Polish music, song, and dance, and our mission is to bring the best of Polish culture into American life. Now, during the pandemic, we could not perform as nobody could do public performances. It was my job to come up with something to do during the pandemic that was artistic, that was within our mission, and that was completely within COVID rules, COVID compliant. So I came up with the idea of recording the Chopin songs. Now, most people are even shocked that Chopin wrote vocal music, but he did. In fact, he wrote a lot of it. The trouble is that most of it was burned because he asked his sister to burn all of his compositions after he died. A famous composer caught her doing it and said, "What are you doing? Stop! We've got to publish this music." And so the Chopin songs that were left were published posthumously as his Opus 74. And unfortunately, there were only 19 songs left. And that is what we recorded. Now, they're all solos, and they were all written for women because Chopin's students were all women, and he taught music, he taught piano to men and women, but his vocal students were almost all women. And so he wrote songs for women. However, the words were often songs that were sung by men, but that was done in the 1700s, the 1800s, the 1900s, but now, and even in the 20th century, but now in the 21st century, the custom in Poland is that the songs that Chopin wrote with male lyrics are sung by men. So, surprise, surprise, we asked not only 2 female soloists, but also 1 Lira male soloist to record the Chopin songs. And we have a wonderful new accompanist, pianist. She actually is a concert pianist who recently from Poland. Let me tell you what's on the recording. These are 2 of our finest female singers. Katarzyna Dorula, who of course we call Kasia Dorula, our high soprano, and our mezzo soprano, Anna Mazur Krawczyk to be exact. And then our male singer is a surprise. His name is Kari Laurent. He's not Polish, but he speaks Polish, and he sings, wow, wait till you hear it. He has been to Poland several times, and he learned to speak Polish. So I did not have to coach him during COVID, which was wonderful. Marta Pasek, wait till you hear how beautifully she accompanies these songs. Now, the songs are not what you expect. Well, some of them are lovely love songs, flirtatious songs with darling little Chopin accompaniments. But some of them are very dramatic songs with fantastic, unusual accompaniments. There's even a very raucous drinking song that you would never think that Chopin would write. It's a hoot, and you will love it. There also are very sad songs, because Chopin and his fellow emigres from Poland who went to Paris. They went to Paris because, of course, they had nowhere else to go. They couldn't go back to Poland. And Paris was kind of the cultural center of the world at the time. So they went to Paris, and it was wonderful. It's a wonderful place, and the French were terrific. But they missed Poland so much that in their poetry and in Chopin's music, you can hear how much they missed their families, how much they missed their homeland, how much sometimes they missed their wives, the women they intended to marry. They had left all of that in Poland. So some of the songs are so heartrending. I actually love the ones that are sad the most. Now, some of the songs are patriotic because Chopin was very much involved with what was going on in Poland. And when the Kościuszko uprising failed, which meant that Poland would be invaded from three sides by its neighbors, divided into three, wiped off the map of Europe. It was a horrible time in Polish history. For about 125 years, there was no Poland. And Chopin understood that this was going to happen, and he wrote a patriotic song that is so wonderful. You've got to hear it. And then we end the recording with a 20th song that is not part of the Paderewski edition, which we used as the basis of our recording. The Paderewski edition of the Chopin songs is considered one of the best editions, so that's why we used it. However, after that edition was published, in the 1930s, another Chopin song was discovered. It was found in Czechoslovakia. Well, in what was then Czechoslovakia. Well, actually, it was then Czechoslovakia, but when Chopin wrote this song, the Czech lands, just like the Polish lands, were part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. They had been invaded and occupied, just like Poland. But the Czechs maintained their culture, and the Poles maintained their culture. So Chopin and a poet friend went down to the Czech lands on vacation. And they visited a famous museum. And the man who was director of the museum, his last name was Hanka. And after they toured the museum, since they were important people, Mr. Hanka asked them to sign their names and write a little notation, like, "We love touring the museum, thank you," and their names, for posterity. In this book, this book that they kept. Every museum has one. Every important institution has one. Well, the poet, Chopin's friend, said, "I'm a poet. Instead of writing something silly, I'm going to write a little poem." And he wrote it. And he signed it. And then Chopin was next. And Chopin said, "Well, if you're a poet and you can write a poem on the spot, guess what? I'm a composer and I can write a song on the spot." And he wrote a song to those words of that poem. And it's a darling little mazurka. Now, unfortunately, he had no piano, so he did not write any piano accompaniment. It's an a cappella, meaning without accompaniment song. And it's the only piece of music that Chopin wrote without piano in it. So it's a darling mazurka, and it's the last piece on the recording, and you know the backstory. So we at the Lira Ensemble enjoyed tremendously recording the Chopin songs. And I hope that you will enjoy listening to them, and sharing them with your friends and family.